Hello, my name is Scott Payton. I'm the Global Certification Manager for Exemplar Global. I would like to welcome you to this video training session on ISO 19011-2018. This is one of a series of 3 training sessions designed to help you prepare for and pass Exemplar Global's AU and TL auditor assessments. The first video will take an in-depth look at ISO 19011-2018. It is designed to give you a comprehensive overview of the standard. The second video training session is designed for Exemplar Global Certified Auditors. It covers information contained in the AU assessment. The third training session is designed for lead auditors. It covers information contained in the Team Leader or TL assessment. We encourage all of our certified customers who need to take the AU assessment to watch both the overview session and the AU training session. Lead auditors should watch all 3. All 3 of our sessions are presented by Denise Robitaille. Denise served as the chair of ISO PC 302, which is the technical committee that developed the ISO 19011-2018 standard revision. Denise is an auditor, trainer, and consultant on ISO management system standards, and she is a prolific author with more than a dozen books in print. After Denise concludes her presentation, I will be back with more information on how to actually register for and take the assessment. Finally, we want to stress the need for auditors to actually read and understand the ISO 19011-2018 standard itself. We have included a link to purchase the standard in this presentation from the ASQ web store. The standard may also be purchased from the American National Standard Institute, ANSI, on their website, and from your local national standards body. Denise, take it away.
Thanks very much, Scott. Hello, folks. We are going to do an overview of ISO 19011-2018, which was recently revised. And what we're going to cover are some of the basics that you find in 19011, some of the highlights of the changes for those of you who are already familiar with the standard, and some key points that are very important for all auditors to know. Very briefly, let's talk about what ISO 19011 actually encompasses. It is the guidelines for auditing management system standards, and it's utilized to provide information on managing an audit program, conducting audits, the competence and evaluation of auditors, and there are additional tips and a lot of good stuff to be found in the annexes of the standard. So that's what you get from 19011. Next, just a brief history of 19011. Those of you who've been around for a little while will remember it being introduced a while back as 10011. I want to call your attention to the fact that between the 2002 version and the most recent one that's just been released, the scope of the standard has been broadened so that it is the go-to auditing document for auditors in a whole variety of different management system schemes. In its original inception, it was focused primarily on quality management system standards and environmental management system standards, i.e. 9001 and 14001. And now there are a multitude of other management system standards, not all of whom are within the ISO family, for whom 19011 is the guidance document on auditing. So next, let's take a look at, what some of those other standards were, because they created some of the impetus for the change that actually in 2018. So we have a multiple management system standards. Before there was only 14001 and 9001. Now we have a whole bunch of other standards. We have the one on occupational health and safety, information management, etc. We've got some that are outside of the ISO family, such as the AS9100, which is the aerospace scheme. We've got IATF 16949, your automotive standard. All of these are now under this umbrella, and some of you who have certification under more than one scheme, this is now important to you. This standard applies not just to that 9001 and 14001 in the past. It is now the relevant go-to guidance document on auditing for all of those standards. Additionally, it complements the requirements that are found in the ISO Casco standards, the 17021 series, where they discuss and enumerate the competences that are required for auditors in various schemes. And these are indeed complementary to the guidance that's found in 19011. Next, some of the things that are new and that were considered for this latest version, and it's important for you to know about, especially if you have been auditing for several years. Things that have been added include things relating to changes in technology. There is text relating to virtual auditing that has been added. The concept of risk permeates the entire guidance document, which was not the case in the past. As a matter of fact, there is a principle that has been added to the list of auditing principles that is specific to risk. Also, with the advent of Annex SL, that high-level structure that has become the framework, the architecture for management system standards within the ISO family, they all have within that concept relating to the context of the organization and the concept of interested parties, and a great deal of emphasis on control of change, as well as increased language relating to risk. Since these have developed such enormous prominence across the spectrum of management system standards, it seemed advisable to add language to the guidance document that related to specifically those and what auditors need to know about those in order to be able to audit those aspects of a management system standard effectively. And for those of you who, again, are familiar with the previous version, there is some additional clarity that's been put into this new version of the standard. Next, we have here the URL to get your copy of 19,011-2018. As Scott Payton has previously mentioned, that there are several avenues through which you can purchase this. This is the ASQ URL that you can utilize in order to get your copy, and we encourage you to get that copy. It will help you to better understand your responsibilities as an auditor, and it will help you in the taking of the exams, the exemplar exams. So let's take a brief look at the structure of ISO 19011. We have those first two scope and terms and definitions that are ubiquitous across all management system standards, or most of the ISO standards. And after that, we've got those principles of auditing. I've noted that they have added risk to the list of the principles of auditing. When you take the next course, which relates to auditors' responsibilities, there will be greater information having to do with principles of auditing. Managing of an audit program, despite the fact that many of you are not involved in the activities of actually managing the audit program, those activities are directly relevant to you, and so it is important for you to understand what goes into managing an audit program. What is probably of greatest interest for most of you as auditors is the guidance having to do with conducting an audit. Afterwards, competence and evaluation of auditors, what you need to know about what competence you need to have and how you are evaluated as an auditor, and finally the annexes. So next, let's take a little bit more of a deeper look into that. I want to talk very, very briefly about the scope. 19,011 is relevant to all different kinds of audits, not just first or second party audits, but indeed first, second, and third party audits. As exemplar auditors or lead assessors, you're probably most focused on those third-party audits. However, it's important for you to know that this standard does relate to all of those audits, including, in addition to that, the regulatory audits. Having this perspective allows you, as you are auditing a management system, to also be able to assess the effectiveness of the audit program that a client has established for their internal audit program. So even though you've got that third-party focus, which is what most of you will be conducting your audits to, it's appropriate for you to know about first and second party audits and what considerations are there, because it will facilitate your auditing. Next, I want to talk briefly about terms and definitions. It is important for you to understand the actual definition of some terms that are found, because they are specific to the audit profession and don't necessarily have the same meaning that they would have in the Oxford or Merriam dictionaries. Terms that are important: understand the distinction between audit scope and audit criteria. What do those two things mean? When someone tells you what the scope of an audit is, what exactly are they telling you, as opposed to the audit criteria? What is defined by an audit program? As auditors, you should know what it means when someone talks to you about an audit program. What is the distinction between objective evidence and audit evidence? And finally, this last example, the difference between a technical expert and an observer. And, very briefly, one of those two is a member of the audit team and the other is not, but each of them do have responsibilities and things that they have to be aware of during the course of the audit. Again, it's important for you to have access or have a copy of 19,011 so that you can understand what these terms mean in terms of your role as an auditor. Next, the principle of auditing, and we're going to get into greater detail in those when we do the next session, pardon me, on auditing, the audit segment of these three trainings. These are not lofty, highfalutin concepts. They are actual principles that you need to comply with. They are the guidance stars that you use, that you know the manner in which to conduct yourself professionally as an auditor, the expectations that are placed upon you as an auditor, things like confidentiality, your risk-based approach to the manner in which you audit. All of those things are important for you to know about and to actually incorporate into the manner in which you audit. We will go into greater detail each one of those during the next session. Next, this chart shows the flow of an audit program, and you'll note that not all of the clauses are there. For example, 5.1 is not there, and you look down, 6.1 is not there. Many of you are probably focused on 6.4, actually conducting the audit, and perhaps some of you 6.5, which would be the preparing of the audit report. And don't spend a whole bunch of time concerning yourself with other aspects of the audit program. However, it is important for you to know about other aspects of the audit program and the manner in which that affects the manner in which you audit and the manner in which you write your report. For example, risks relating to the audit program translate into decisions that are made about the audits that you will conduct. Implementing that audit program, again, the same thing. That initiation of the audit before you even prepare the audit. So that would be putting together, for example, the plan. There are other things that happen upstream from that, and you need to know about those things. So it's important for you to understand all the various aspects of the audit program and how they flow and how they're interconnected. Next, we will talk briefly about the managing of an audit program, and we will go into greater detail on these with the next presentation. But it is, for example, important for you to understand the objectives of an audit. So if you have an audit program, the objectives of an audit program, for this particular client, we have an audit program, and incorporated into that for the next 3 cycles, we have to add in a special visit. So the objective of that special visit within this whole audit program is something that needs to be considered. So you need to understand how that fits in. You're not planning them, you're not managing the entire program, but it affects your auditing. So you go down the list, and we'll talk about these in greater detail. Determining what those objectives are and defining that audit criteria for each individual audit, communicating that to the auditor, making sure the auditor understands that. All important parts of managing an audit program, things that affect your ability to audit. Next, this is perhaps the single most important part of the standard for many of you. And again, we will go into greater depth on these when we do the auditor portion of these 3 trainings. What is involved in the initiation of that audit? Stuff that happens way upstream of even, getting all of your audit paperwork together and putting together your plan. What are the things that go into actually conducting the audit? What are the things that must be considered, as well as the things that go into consideration for the audit report, including those things that you are responsible for regardless of whether you are a member of the team or if you are the team lead. If you are the team leader, you're going to have responsibility for actually writing the report, but others on the team are responsible for what goes into that report. So what are those responsibilities? Also, the extent to which you are involved in the follow-up after the audit has been completed is something that we will go to in greater depth. Next, it is important for you to know what competences are required of you as an auditor, and what are the methods that you will be evaluated in order to ensure initially that you do indeed have the basic competences, and as you go forward, how will you be evaluated in terms of your auditing skills and your continued ability to be a good and effective auditor. So what are the auditor competences? Some of them have to do with your skills as an auditor. Some of them have to do with your expertise for the disciplines that you are auditing. For example, the medical device industry as opposed to the plastic injection molding business or a service industry. Be aware that you have to participate in these evaluations over time and what the expectations are that have been placed upon you, so that you can continue to be a qualified, competent auditor within a particular audit program. Next. Finally, within 19,011, you will find the annexes. There is an abundance of good information, of tips, of guidance relating to all various aspects of auditing. Some are going to have greater relevance in some instances than in others. There are 3 or 4 of them that are particularly significant, and they will be addressed in greater detail in the audit segment of these 3 standards. And so with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Scott.
Thank you very much, Denise. Excellent presentation. And I just want to remind everyone, as Denise mentioned several times in the session today, this is an overview of 19,011-2018. Denise will be talking in much more detail about both the auditor and lead auditor portions of the assessments in the next 2 training sessions. When you're ready to take the assessment, all you need to do is just visit your online portal on the Exemplar Global website. Just go to exemplarglobal.org, click on the login button in the upper right-hand corner, and that'll take you to the login page. You then will enter your Exemplar Global username and password. If you don't remember your password, there's a reset password link right there. You will then click on the tab reading Transition Exams. Here you will see what exams you are required to complete. Simply click on the exam link, pay your exam fee, and you'll be ready to go. Once you've paid the fee, you'll be sent a link to complete the exam. Once the exam is complete, your Exemplar Global record will automatically be updated. There's no need to send us anything. So just want to also remind you that it is essential for you to read and understand the ISO 19011-2018 standard. Both Denise and I have emphasized this in this presentation. Again, here is the link where you can purchase the standard from the ASQ web store. And again, you may purchase it also from the American National Standard Institute, ANSI, at their website. You can also purchase it from your local national standards body in whichever country you're located in. So again, I want to thank Denise. I want to thank all of you for your attention in this session. And if you have any questions about these assessments or your Exemplar Global certification, please contact Exemplar Global directly. You may email us at certification@exemplarglobal.org. If you've got questions for Denise not related to the assessments or to your certification, you may email Denise at the email address shown on the screen. Thank you all again.